Welcome to Moffett on Money. I'm Clay Moffett. Glad to be with you. Today's topic's a little bit different. I was talking with Ellen, who manages our website here, who does the editing on the videos, all that kind of stuff that's out of my league. And she, a day or two ago, a couple days ago, was talking with a group of women. And the topic of conversation was retirement and how none of them had really made plans for retirement, didn't really know what to do. So that is something we can remedy fairly quickly. It's important, extremely important to understand that though this is directed at those women and they were the source of the idea, that this really is applicable to anybody who is 30, 40 years old and hasn't really put aside money for retirement. You know, the times have changed. Historically, particularly in agrarian societies, children were the retirement plan, still are largely. In more modern Western societies, traditionally the husband has been the retirement plan, providing for, the wife while he's retired and even, after he dies. But today's a new day. We've got wholly different family structures, blended families. We've got single parent families. We've got people who aren't having kids, who just don't get married, don't have anyone else. We've got unique family structures. So increasingly, it's more and more incumbent on the individual to provide for themselves, take care of their responsibilities vis-a-vis their future, their retirement. So to those people, that's who this video is dedicated to. Now, first of all, we have to start off with the understanding that it's necessary that you spend less than what you make. For many, this may be very difficult. And I understand, I've known single parents with kids who struggle to make ends meet. I respect that greatly. I feel for you. But you also have to understand, if you're not investing, not providing for your future, it's actually a bigger risk, even if it's difficult now or not as convenient now. It's something that, you have to try to make some space for. You've got time. It takes one of two things to make money. It either takes money or it takes time. If you don't have money, you've got time, or you need to take advantage of what time you've got. It has to be a priority. You have to be a priority. So we're going to proceed on that basis. To plan for your future now, there are several steps that you've got to do. First of all, hopefully you understand providing for yourself is the biggest need you've got, biggest requirement you've got. Far too many don't consider that or only give it, a fleeting thought. Even if you are married, statistically, the chances are that you will be on your own in retirement years, and you need money that you control, nobody else. You need money that you own, nobody else. You need money that nobody else can take from you. That's what we're going to show you how to do here. The second biggest issue that I've seen in dealing with women down through the years is they are risk adverse. They don't like to take risk, and it fits in with their more nurturing, protective nature. Statistically, women are far less likely to want to invest in the market than the men. They generally prefer safer investments like cash, a savings account, or an interest-bearing account at the bank. To women, they see the markets as unfriendly, as male-dominated, as untrustworthy, as complicated. They are complicated. Unfriendly, the markets are unfriendly. Trustworthy, the markets at times can be untrustworthy. Can't deny any or all of that. But I hope over the next few minutes to show you ways to mitigate those risks, those concerns, and to give you proper incentive for investing in the market, seeing as how it's a better way to provide for you and your future. Now, I'm going to start out assuming small. Many of you may have money, you may have more to invest, and this is all still applicable. for some of you that are struggling, we're going to start out looking at $50 a month. And, some people may say, what can I get for $50 a month or $100 a month? Let me also say that I am not offering you investing advice as an individual here. I'm just saying, what if I was in this position? What if I was in this situation and I had $50 a month to invest? What would I do? This is what I would do. Now, $50. Some people think, what can $50 do for me? Well, if you're 40 and you're going to work till you're 70, that's 30 years. And people say 70. Well, people are younger, healthier today. They age. 70 is much younger than it used to be traditionally. And people are working longer and will continue to work longer than their parents, grandparents, etc. 65 really is probably not a reasonable retirement age for most people. Maybe a goal, but many will continue working beyond. So we'll assume 70. That gives us a nice 30-year period to work with. So $50 a month. What can happen if you invest $50 a month in the market, stock market? When I say market, I'm generally referring to the stock market. Well, if you earn the 75-year average of the stock market over this 30-year period, the average return of the S&P 500 is 12%. But let's say you only earn 10%. If you invest $50 a month for 30 years, you'll end up with $103,000. What if you are able to earn 12%, the historical stock market average return over 75 years? At 12%, your $50 a month turns into $175,000. What if you earn 15%? People saying 15%, that's crazy. Well, I've earned somewhere around 25%, 30% over the past 10 years. There are times in the market when it's very good. So at 15%, that $50 a month turns into $346,000. Now, keep in mind, you've only invested $18,000 of your money during this 30-year period. That's the miracle of compounding. You're earning interest on interest over time. That's why I say, the second thing it takes to make money is time. You don't have to have a large amount of money. You can take advantage of time. Now, I also hope or expect that as time goes by, you'll get raises. Your kids will grow up, start making their own money, maybe contribute to the house some, or they'll be gone, reduce your expenses. You'll have more than $50 a month to invest. So it only gets better as time goes by. What if you, instead of 50, can invest 100? Well, double the amounts I gave you. For example, if you invest at 12%, $100 a month, you'll have $350,000. At 15%, you'll have right under $700,000. Time is your ally. Now, many of you, like I say, traditionally are more risk adverse. You're thinking the stock market is risky. I'd rather keep it in cash. It's safer. It is the principle. The money you put in there is safer, but you've still got risk. You've got purchasing power risk or inflation risk. Right now, we're having a huge bout of inflation. And you've seen how prices jump. Eggs have gone from 99 cents to $7 for 30 or a dozen, whatever it is. It's crazy. But that's what inflation does. So if you're not earning a sufficient return to outpace inflation, what you are doing is guaranteeing yourself the money you've saved won't purchase as much as it does now. So you're guaranteeing yourself a lower lifestyle in the future. You're guaranteeing that the money you have worked and labored to save won't purchase the same amount of goods and services that it does today due to inflation, due to prices increasing faster than your return. So that's a risk. That's a definite risk. And that is a very painful risk when you retire. And that's why I strongly encourage you to invest in the market, particularly if you can be a long-term investor and you're not so worried about the short-term fluctuations, but you want that 12% average over 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Now, so we understand risk a little bit better, and there is risk in the market, particularly in the short term, but long-term returns, you're far better off. So you're wondering, how does this really apply to me? Maybe I've got different amounts to invest. Well, there's a online calculator. You can just go in and literally search for or type in, let me get my cursor here, calculator.net. And it'll bring up this beautiful little page. And here you can type in what if amounts. For example, I'm starting out with 0. And I know I'm going to have 30 years. And I think my return rate is going to be 12%. I'm going to be investing monthly. And I'm going to be investing $50 monthly. I do that just like we talked about. I'm going to end up with $175,000. What if I can do 100 a month? There's the 350 we were talking about. What if I've got $1,000 to start off with today, in addition to the $100 a month? 385 up from 350. So you can do all these what ifs and find out what's comfortable for you. Or if you have a goal, in 30 years, I want to have this in balance. What do I have to do today to get there? So you can play with this and come away with some better information as to what is going to, what's required. And you can adjust the return. You can do 10%, you can do 15, you can do 8. Okay, at 15%, this becomes nearly 800,000. What if I keep it in a savings account at 2%? Oh, I'll have 50,000. What do you think $50,000 will buy in 30 years? That's the real question. That's your real risk. Now, I hope I've given you some incentive to invest in the market. I hope I've given you some comfort as to the risk of investing in the market, particularly long term. So, how do you do it? Well, if we're looking at $50 a month to start off with, the options are limited. But that doesn't mean they're not good options. They are good, and they're relatively simple. Win-win. So first thing I would do is start off Googling Fidelity, Open Fidelity Brokerage Account. Open Fidelity Brokerage Account. And if you do that, you'll get something like this where it asks, are you a Fidelity customer? No. Click on Next to open your account. Once you do that, you'll get this where you just fill out some simple information, name, address, your social security number, those kind of things. And you don't need any money. You can open up the brokerage account, nothing down. Now, Fidelity is a huge financial management firm, huge money management firm. They've got over 300 mutual funds. Now, what's a mutual fund? A mutual fund simply is where a group of people just pool their money together and hire a manager, a portfolio manager, a full-time portfolio manager. And he makes all the investment decisions, what to buy, when to sell. You don't get to have any input on what they buy or sell. Your only choice is whether or not you want to be in that fund or out of that fund. That's it. You can move money from your brokerage account to this mutual fund, from this mutual fund back to your brokerage account. So it's a simple, easy process. You'll literally be able to do it over your phone or on your computer in a heartbeat. Now, another thing about Fidelity is that all of their funds are no-load funds. No-load funds means there are no sales commissions. So when you invest in them, there's no salesman that will be paid. It's 100% of your money in, 100% of your money out for most of their funds. Now, keep in mind, I don't make anything off this recommendation. I don't have any formal ties with Fidelity. I don't benefit from you investing in Fidelity in any way, shape, manner, or form. Now, some people will ask, I'm also in some of the previous videos have mentioned that I'm in cash, not in the market. People are like, well, why should I get in the market if you're not? Couple things. One, I'm a little older than 40 and I'm nearing retirement. So I want to protect my portfolio from big drawdowns. Like the market this past year was down 20%. So I pulled out. Second thing is I follow the market every day. Most of you won't. And remember, I talked about a 12% return over a long-term period. That includes the times when the market dropped, when we've had recessions or whatever. Thirdly, if you invest in the market, and I admit, I kind of expect the market to drop a little bit more this year. But if you investing $50 a month, you've got $100, $200 invested in the market, it drops another 20%. You're down to $160 versus $200. That's not going to hurt you or devastate you for the rest of your life. The big key for you is getting something started, getting in the market. Studies show consistently that people who try to time the market in and out statistically don't do as well as people who buy and hold. They invest in the market and they just hold it till some long-term period, till retirement, for example. So what I'm recommending to you is what studies show consistently is the best for most people. And think about that 12% return. Even when the market's down over, 10-year, 15, 20-year periods, 12% return is a consistent average. Have no reason really to expect any different, though I can't guarantee it. It's always possible. But I'm pretty certain that for those who invest in the market versus a savings account, they'll be far better off over any long-term period. That's the big deal. So I talked about Fidelity. There's also another company that I would recommend, Vanguard. Very good, huge financial management firm, no load funds, no sales commission. Again, hundreds of funds. The only reason I'm not recommending Vanguard now is that Vanguard has a minimum $3,000 investment. So if we're looking at starting off with $50 a month, we have to wait a little while to utilize Vanguard. If you've already got some money to invest, should take a look at Vanguard as well as Fidelity. Both of them very good families, tons of options, all the services you want. I already mentioned you can electronically connect, or I think I mentioned you can electronically connect your brokerage account to your checking account and your brokerage account to the mutual funds. So you can move money from your checking to your brokerage to your mutual fund, from your mutual fund to your brokerage to your checking, all in very short order. It's very easy to do. In addition, with your brokerage account, your checking account, you can set up automatic investments. Automatic investments are where you take $50 a month, in our example, and set a day of the month. And at that point in time, Fidelity will come and take out $50 a month out of your account. It's just like automatically paying a bill, except now you're paying yourself, which is a great thing to do. I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10 recommend. So you've got access to your funds. They're all in your name. Nobody can take them from you. And you're doing it every month. You're paying yourself every month. Once you have $50 or $100 in your Fidelity account, your brokerage account, as I refer to it, then you can take that money and start investing it in the market. You can buy one of these mutual funds. Now, the mutual funds, Fidelity has 4 funds that you can open with $50. They are the large cap index fund. The large cap fund invests in big, huge, multinational global companies, large cap funds. The Fidelity Zero Extended Market Index Fund. Extended market invest in a broader range of stocks. There's the Total Market Index Fund, which invests in even a broader range of stocks, more small stocks. And Fidelity Zero International Index Fund, which invests in overseas stocks. Okay. All of those All of those funds boast a 0% expense ratio. Now, if I were to look at one of those funds, I would probably look at the total market index fund. And as you can see, over a 10-year period, it has a 12% return. This includes the past year where the market was down 20%. So even with 20% down in 1 year, it still averaged 12% over 10 years. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. So, and then once you build up funds in this, you can start diversifying into other funds. If you want to do real estate, if you want to do international, if you want to do, medical technology, whatever, you've got tons of options, but this is a good place to start. Probably where I would start. Now, for most people, the topic of the conversation really was retirement savings. That meaning, if this money, barring a huge emergency or crisis, you won't touch or want to get a hold of for 30 years until you retire or until you retire. Now, if that is the case, you should look at putting this in a IRA. Now, an IRA is simply a legal structure on top of the mutual fund. You call Fidelity and say, hey, I want to invest in the total market index fund, for example, and I want to do it in an IRA. So they just literally click on a checkbox and it's done. So very simple to do. Now, an IRA, individual savings account. Probably most of you are already familiar with an IRA, but there may be a few that are not. So quite simply, an IRA allows you to accumulate money on a tax-free or tax-deferred basis, I should say, tax-deferred basis, until you pull it out for your retirement. In an IRA, you can invest up to $6,000 a month in a retirement. Now, what I mean when I say tax-free or tax-deferred, if you buy a stock, make $50 in profit on it, and you sell it, you have to report that $50 as income. But if you put it in an IRA, you sell that stock, make $50, you can take that whole $50 and reinvest it in something else without having to pay taxes on it. The only time you owe taxes on it is later when you withdraw it, if it's a traditional IRA. Traditional IRA, what's a traditional IRA? There are really two forms of IRAs. A traditional IRA is where you invest the money up to $6,000 and you can deduct it on your taxes. So if you're in a 10 or 20% tax bracket, you invest $6,000, you'll save $1,000 or $2,000 on taxes. That's not bad. The flip side is 30 years later, when it has grown and you start withdrawing it, you will owe taxes on what you pull out of it, just like salary. It's taxable. The second form is called a Roth IRA, R-O-T-H, Roth IRA. And with the Roth, the amount you invest in an IRA is not deductible. So you put it in the IRA just like a regular investment account, no deduction, but it still accumulates tax deferred, tax free until you retire. And then when you start drawing it out from retirement, the beautiful thing is you don't owe taxes on it in a Roth. So traditional, upfront deduction, back end taxable. Roth, no upfront deduction, back end tax-free. So if you're in a low tax bracket now, probably you want to consider a Roth, because for people retiring on a fixed income, taxes can take out a chunk. It can be difficult on a fixed income when you're retired. But if if taxes are a problem, things are tight, you really could use the tax deduction, put it in a traditional, you'll still be far better off than you would otherwise not. Now, if you have some specific questions, feel free to ask the people at Fidelity or Vanguard. They have very good help, very competent people. They'll give you their opinions, their thoughts, kind of what they would use to make the decision. And they'll just give you a separate opinion, which is always good. And, if anything I say, you ought to verify. You're not going to hurt my feelings or bother me. Always get different opinions. It's your money. You've got to know and understand what you're doing with it. If you don't do it. Now, if you have some questions, generic questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or DM me on Twitter, MoffettOnMoney. Be glad to try to help you if I can. But Fidelity, Vanguard have very good help. So you've decided to start saving. You're comfortable with the risk in the market. You understand there is risk, but long term, you're still going to be far better off on average than you would be if you didn't, because you're a long term investor, not a short term investor. Remember the long term, 12% historically, even with all the recessions we've had. So you've opened your brokerage account, you started the automatic deduction from your checking account or bank account into your brokerage account. You've started the automatic investment from the brokerage account to the mutual fund. You've made huge strides in preparing for your future and taking responsibility for your future. Congrats. Now, we'll in succeeding videos talk about investing and risk in the markets and how to manage those risks, looking at other investment strategies, those kind of things. The goal is to help make you a better informed investor, to help you manage the risk that you have. You have risk even if you're oblivious to it, like people investing in a savings account, purchasing power risk, inflation risk. Knowing the risk and managing them is always the better option. So that's the overview. Take care of yourself. Do it now. There's nothing worse than the feeling of letting time go by and feel it and thinking you failed to take advantage of it. So do it now. Don't forget to tune in to some of the future videos, like, subscribe, do all those YouTube-y things. Also, always looking for ideas of interest to you, the subscribers. So feel free to DM me, MoffettOnMoney and Twitter. And I hope this has been helpful to you. My time is up. I thank you for yours.